Today, we're exploring 20 garden elements that were once the height of American landscape design but have since faded into obscurity. Number 1. Victory Gardens. When World War II changed everything about American life, it also transformed our backyards. Victory Gardens weren't just a cute hobby, they were a full-blown patriotic movement. These gardens sprouted up in every available space, from fancy estates to vacant city lots. Even kids got involved, with schools creating garden armies, where students learned to grow food as part of their contribution to the war effort. The government didn't just encourage these gardens, they went all in with radio shows like Garden Gate that broadcast weekly growing tips. Companies joined the effort too, with seed producers creating special Victory Garden collections containing all the essentials for first-time growers. The results were incredible. Americans grew over 8 million tons of food during the war years, freeing up commercial crops and transportation resources for military needs. Number 2. Formal parterres. Long before Americans were digging victory gardens, the nation's elite were showcasing their wealth through mind-bogglingly complex garden geometry. Those intricate patterns you've spotted in old estate photos weren't random designs. They were formal parterres, essentially living Persian rugs best viewed from above, revealing mathematical precision in plant form. During the Gilded Age, wealthy families like the Vanderbilts and Rockefellers competed fiercely in this botanical status game, importing European-trained gardeners to create these masterpieces. The Blue Garden in Newport, Rhode Island, designed by the Olmsted brothers for Arthur Curtis James, exemplified this trend with its elaborate patterns requiring an army of workers to maintain perfect symmetry. These weren't just pretty designs, they were sophisticated puzzles incorporating Beaux-Arts architectural elements. William Wells Bosworth, trained at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, designed gardens for John D. Rockefeller at Kaikouet that featured rusticated stone finishes and marble relief sculptures reflecting European sophistication through meticulous botanical geometry. Number 3. Sundials. After the elaborate geometry of America's elite gardens, we turn to another fascinating feature that merged science with everyday garden life. Those stone pedestals topped with angled metal plates weren't just decorative oddities, they were sophisticated solar calculators that transformed gardens into functioning astronomical observatories. Sundials arrived with the earliest European colonists as essential tools for daily life. Far from mere decoration, these devices helped coordinate agricultural tasks and daily routines according to the sun's position. Even George Washington recognized their importance, owning multiple sundials specially designed for his Mount Vernon gardens. Many sundials carried philosophical inscriptions like "I count only sunny hours" and "Time waits for no man," transforming a simple timekeeper into a source of contemplation about mortality and life's fleeting nature. Each sundial required precise mathematical calculations to function properly, with the gnomon angle matched exactly to the garden's latitude. Number 4. Herb spirals. While sundials captured the sky's mathematical precision above, another mathematical marvel was quietly working with the earth below. Have you spotted those curious spiral mounds in vintage garden photographs? These weren't random decorative elements, they were herb spirals, ingenious permaculture designs that transformed a single garden spot into multiple growing zones. These mathematical wonders created diverse microclimates within just 6 feet of space. The elevated center caught maximum sunlight, perfect for Mediterranean herbs like rosemary and thyme, while the lower sections retained moisture for mint and parsley. Their construction followed precise principles, with carefully positioned stones absorbing daytime heat and releasing it at night. Water poured at the top would efficiently spiral downward, reaching every plant while minimizing waste. A brilliant system that worked with natural patterns instead of fighting them. After World War II, as chemical fertilizers and row gardening dominated American landscapes, these sophisticated designs virtually disappeared. Number 5. Arbors and Trellises. That post-war shift toward convenience didn't just eliminate herb spirals, it also erased something much bigger from our garden landscapes. Those charming wooden structures in vintage garden photos weren't just decorative elements but sophisticated engineering systems designed to transform plants into functional architecture. The romantic arbors where your grandparents might have stolen kisses were secretly working as natural air conditioners and living privacy screens. Back in the early 1900s, these wooden frameworks required specialized knowledge to construct properly. Rose arbors featured wider lattice patterns specifically designed to support the growth patterns of climbing roses, while grape trellises needed significantly stronger supports to bear the weight of heavy fruit. These weren't random designs. They represented a sophisticated blend of artistic vision and scientific understanding. Garden experts employed techniques like espalier to train fruit trees to grow flat against supports, creating living walls that produced food while enhancing privacy. Bean trellises maximized growing space while fragrant climbing roses cooled homes naturally through evaporative cooling long before air conditioning existed. Number 6. Garden gnomes. From engineering marvels to misunderstood guardians, our garden history takes an unexpected turn. Did you know those smiling garden gnomes dotting suburban lawns were once so controversial that families actually buried them during wartime? These little figures have a fascinating journey from respected spiritual protectors to objects of ridicule and back again. German immigrants brought these terracotta guardians to America, believing they watched over gardens while families slept. These weren't just decorations. They represented earth elementals tending to plant roots and warding off evil spirits. Each gnome was individually crafted, often depicting miners with lanterns that symbolized Earth's treasures. The anti-German sentiment during both World Wars nearly erased this tradition completely. Many families secretly buried their gnomes to avoid being labeled unpatriotic. By the 1950s, mass production transformed these meaningful guardians into plastic caricatures, fishing, or sunbathing, stripping away their spiritual significance. Number 7. Walled gardens. While plastic gnomes multiplied across America's lawns, another amazing garden feature was silently disappearing from our landscapes. Those brick and stone enclosures you've spotted in old estate photographs weren't just fancy barriers. They were actually ingenious climate control systems that transformed ordinary gardens into extraordinary growing environments. These walls worked like solar batteries, soaking up heat during sunny days and slowly releasing it at night. This temperature regulation created warm pockets where gardeners could grow plants that had absolutely no business surviving in their climate zones. Thomas Jefferson's walled garden at Monticello is the perfect example. The walls created such an effective microclimate that he successfully grew Mediterranean figs in Virginia. These weren't just functional structures. They were outdoor rooms with distinct personalities. Many featured built-in seating, water features, and specialized niches designed to shelter different plant varieties. Some gardens even included sections with heating pipes running through the walls for extra warmth. Number 8. Heirloom vegetable patches. As those elaborate garden walls faded from our landscapes, another treasured garden feature was silently disappearing: our incredible vegetable diversity. The colorful patchwork of vegetables in old family photos wasn't just for show. It represented living genetic libraries carefully cultivated through generations of dedicated seed saving. Unlike today's uniform garden rows, heirloom vegetable gardens embraced a tapestry of companion plantings that created vibrant ecosystems. Different vegetables grew together based on how they supported each other, creating gardens that were both beautiful and resilient. What's remarkable is how these gardens preserved cultural heritage alongside agricultural diversity. Immigrant families carried precious seeds across oceans, maintaining direct connections to their homelands through the foods they grew and ate. The science behind these gardens was sophisticated. Each season, gardeners carefully selected seeds from their most successful plants, gradually developing varieties perfectly adapted to local growing conditions. A living legacy of agricultural knowledge. Number 9. Topiary art. That agricultural ingenuity wasn't limited to vegetable gardens. A completely different form of botanical mastery once transformed ordinary shrubs into extraordinary living sculptures. The art of topiary represented a highly specialized craft requiring years of dedicated apprenticeship, with masters wielding custom-made tools to gradually coax plants into elaborate shapes that dazzled visitors to America's finest estates. Few examples better illustrate topiary's heyday than Henry Huntington's California masterpiece with its 500 meticulously crafted specimens. Each living sculpture demanded constant attention. Imagine maintaining a perfectly formed topiary peacock requiring precise trimming every few weeks during growing season. Boxwoods, yew, yews, and hollies were favored for their dense foliage and ability to hold intricate forms throughout the year. Economic hardships following the Great Depression, coupled with the disruptions of World War II, dealt a devastating blow to this sophisticated art form. The specialized knowledge, once passed down through generations of dedicated practitioners, largely vanished from American gardens. Number 10. Clawfoot bathtub planters. As one garden tradition faded from American landscapes, innovative homeowners faced a peculiar challenge in their backyards. Those distinctive oval containers you've spotted in vintage photographs weren't fancy garden store purchases, they were bathroom fixtures given surprising second lives. When indoor plumbing modernized American homes in the early 1900s, families confronted a weighty dilemma: what to do with 400-pound cast-iron bathtubs that were practically impossible to haul away. Rather than struggle with disposal, resourceful gardeners dragged these unwanted fixtures right into their yards. The design of these tubs proved surprisingly perfect for plants. Their sloped interiors provided excellent drainage, while the cast-iron material offered a hidden benefit. It absorbed heat during the day, creating mini microclimates that extended growing seasons for delicate plants. The durable enamel coating meant these impromptu planters could withstand decades of outdoor conditions without deteriorating. Number 11. Garden statuary. While bathtubs found second lives as practical garden containers, another feature spoke an entirely different visual language in America's vintage landscapes. Those weathered stone figures dotting old estate photographs weren't random decorations. They formed sophisticated narrative systems that today's gardeners can barely comprehend. In early 1900s gardens, each statue carried specific meaning. A figure of Pomona holding fruit symbolized abundance and prosperity, while Diana the huntress represented wilderness and independence. Landscape architects collaborated with homeowners to select statuary reflecting family values and aspirations, positioning each piece to create visual dialogues throughout the garden. These weren't cheap decorations. Many statues were hand-carved by skilled artisans or imported at considerable expense from European studios. Wealthy families even commissioned custom pieces depicting family members as classical figures, preserving their likenesses in stone while making bold statements about their cultural refinement. Number 12. Gazebos. While wealthy families showcased their status through private statues, a more democratic garden feature served an entirely different purpose in American communities. From old park photos, you might recognize those elegant octagonal structures that once functioned as America's outdoor community centers before television and radio drove us all indoors. During the Victorian period, these weren't mere decorative elements. Gazebos served as vital community hubs where entire towns gathered weekly for band concerts. Their thoughtfully engineered design featured raised platforms that significantly enhanced acoustics while providing essential protection from the elements. The octagonal shape wasn't arbitrary. It reflected Victorian aesthetic principles about ideal geometric forms. These open-sided structures allowed natural breezes to circulate while still offering shelter, creating comfortable gathering spaces in the era before air conditioning existed. Number 13. Bowling greens. Those suspiciously flat, immaculate lawns you've spotted in historical estate photos weren't just decorative showcases of wealth, they represent America's first sporting facilities, bowling greens, where the nation's founding fathers like Washington and Jefferson would gather not just for recreation, but to forge important social connections and business deals away from prying ears. The Bowling Green in New York City, established in 1733, holds the distinction of being America's oldest continuously used sporting facility. Creating these precision surfaces was engineering at its finest, requiring perfectly level ground, specialized drainage systems, and daily rolling with heavy equipment just to maintain proper playing conditions. The game itself demanded remarkable skill as players rolled weighted balls toward a target ball called a jack. The slightest imperfection in the green's surface would dramatically alter the ball's trajectory, giving experienced players who understood the lawn's subtle contours a significant home field advantage. Number 14. Orchard rows. From sporting grounds to sustenance gardens, Americans have always shaped their landscapes with purpose. What if I told you those quaint apple trees in your grandmother's photo albums weren't just for show, but part of an intricate food production system that once defined American self-reliance? A typical family orchard contained 15 to 20 trees, with families carefully selecting varieties that ripened in succession. This meticulous planning wasn't random. It ensured fresh fruit from early summer through late fall. The diversity was impressive. A single orchard might might feature 5 or 6 different apple varieties alone. These weren't just sources of fresh eating. Orchards functioned as comprehensive food preservation systems. Families specifically chose certain varieties for their suitability for drying, canning, or cider making. Some apples were selected precisely because they could last through winter when stored properly. The knowledge required to maintain these living pantries was substantial. Pruning techniques, grafting methods, and pest management strategies became family treasures, often documented in handwritten notebooks passed between generations. Number 15. Rain chains. While families carefully documented their orchard wisdom, another form of garden intelligence was quietly disappearing from American landscapes. Those elegant chains hanging from roofs in old photographs weren't random decorative elements. They were kusari doi, or rain chains, transforming ordinary rainfall into mesmerizing sensory experiences. Originating in Japan, these functional alternatives to downspouts guided water from gutters to the ground through beautifully designed links or cups. But rain chains weren't just pretty. They played crucial roles in garden drainage systems, directing water into catch basins or rain barrels for later use during dry periods. The most effective designs slowed water's descent, preventing erosion while creating gentle musical sounds. Some elaborate versions even incorporated small bells, adding a captivating auditory dimension during rainfall. After World War II, mass-produced aluminum gutters became the norm, and these artistic water features largely vanished. Modern builders rarely considered that something as mundane as rainwater management could become a garden highlight. Number 16. Garden mirrors. While downspouts became purely functional, another forgotten garden element was playing tricks on the eye. Those mysterious archways visible in the background of your grandparents' garden photos weren't pathways to secret gardens. They were strategically positioned mirrors creating the illusion of space where none existed. Garden mirrors weren't just decorative, they were sophisticated problem solvers. In cramped urban lots, mirrors at the end of narrow paths made small spaces feel twice as large. In perpetually shaded corners where plants struggled, carefully angled mirrors redirected precious sunlight, transforming dead zones into thriving garden spots. The most impressive installations required genuine expertise in both optics and garden design. Mirrors framed as false windows or doorways suggested entire garden rooms that didn't actually exist, fooling visitors into believing the landscape continued beyond its actual boundaries. Number 17. Living fences. While mirrors created illusions in garden spaces, another forgotten feature actually grew stronger with time. Those dense, uniform hedgerows in old rural photographs weren't just dividing lines, they were sophisticated living infrastructure, meticulously engineered to provide security and resources in one package. The creation of these living boundaries wasn't simple gardening, it was architectural horticulture. Farmers planted seeds or cuttings in double-row patterns, carefully weaving branches together through a technique called pleaching. This created barriers so dense that even determined livestock couldn't break through. Honey locust and hawthorn joined Osage orange as popular choices, each bringing unique characteristics suited to regional conditions. Number 18. Cold frames. What if I told you there was once a way to grow fresh lettuce in January without electricity or fuel? Before refrigerated shipping made year-round produce commonplace, American gardeners mastered a forgotten technology so effective that families could harvest homegrown vegetables even with snow on the ground. These cleverly designed boxes with glass lids weren't just random garden fixtures, they were elegant solutions to the challenge of growing food year-round. By the 1800s, cold frames had become essential features in American gardens, transforming ordinary backyards into four-season food production systems. The genius lay in their precise construction. That 35-degree sloped glass lid wasn't arbitrary. It captured the maximum amount of winter sunlight while the wooden sides trapped heat. The taller back wall and shorter front edge created the perfect angle for light absorption during winter's low sun path. Number 19. Bee skips. Just as our ancestors engineered cold frames with precision, they also mastered another garden technology that's nearly extinct today. Those iconic dome-shaped structures woven from straw weren't just quaint garden decorations. They were sophisticated bee management systems called skeps that required intimate knowledge of materials and bee behavior. The true art of skep keeping bordered on mystical. Unable to inspect the interior where bees built combs directly onto the walls, colonial beekeepers beekeepers relied on their senses to determine colony health. They listened for distinct humming patterns, noted subtle scent changes, and studied flight behaviors at the entrance, skills developed through years of observation and mentorship. Number 20. Garden bells and chimes. Beyond the buzz of bee skeps, there's another forgotten sensory dimension of American gardens that has nearly vanished: the intentional soundscape created by bells and chimes. Those metal objects hanging from garden structures in vintage photos weren't random decorations but sophisticated acoustic systems designed to connect families to their environment. Did you know those garden bells served as the original communication network? Different tones signaled specific events: dinner time, visitors arriving, or even emergencies. On larger estates, an entire system of bells allowed communication across vast garden areas, functioning like an outdoor intercom system before electricity.